For me, the most important invention in healthcare of Muranga is telemedicine.
What keeps you awake as the governor of Muranga right now?
Several. One is the requisitions from the national government.
I have seen somewhere that you are planning an investment conference for Murang'a County.
What drives society forward is private capital, not public investments per se. 85% of all those good buildings you see there, they were done through private investment. Private investment. Once you have that understanding that the society moves forward through private capital, then you now start understanding the rationale of a conference. That all those people who came here in Nairobi and built all these buildings, they needed to be mobilized. They needed to understand, have some value proposition. And that is what a conference does.
Tell us what you have done on the, we have talked about health, we have talked about education, we have talked about farming, agribusiness. So what is the other big project you have done since 2022?
Okay, maybe...
I saw you have also constructed some new hospitals.
Yes.
And health centers. What's the logic behind that?
You know, United Nations, every year, they publish a list called Human Development Index. Yeah, they rank countries. The best country in terms of human development.
Yes.
And the least country in terms of that index. And the most marker of a good country in terms of life, about whatever that ranking is life expectancy. For how long does people on average in a country live?
Yes.
I think the best countries according to that index tends to be the Nordic countries of Norway.
Oh, Norway.
And those countries of Switzerland.
Yes. And Sweden.
And Sweden. So on average there people live 85 years.
I thought it was the Japanese. They were saying also the Japanese live very long.
Yes, they do, but you see now when you add talking of other measurements.
Yes.
I think there is life expectancy, there's some other two.
Okay, measures. So it's a matrix.
It is a matrix.
Okay.
But the largest share of that matrix is
life expectancy.
And definitely life expectancy is conjoined with investments of the government in healthcare. You find one of the reasons why United States that is poor in that index is its underinvestment in healthcare. So the point is, if you want better outcomes for your people, is to invest more in healthcare. Now, healthcare investments. WHO, World Health Organization, has said there should be one medical facility per how many? Per every 5,000 people. So Muranga has about 1 million residents. So if you divide 1 million by 5,000, you get 200.
200 facilities.
Yes, so Muranga needs to have 200 facilities to reach
1 million.
To know the desirable who.
Okay.
Who what?
It's like matrix. A matrix, yeah. Okay.
That's when we'll say
we are there.
We are there now. So for me, we found Muranga with about 130 something facilities. We are happy now. We are at 165 or so facilities within 2 years. But we have also put best foot forward in level 4s. Yeah? We start with Maviera constituency. We didn't have a level 4. We are now constructing a new one at Nyakianga.
Okay.
We refurbished one in Kangima, also built several dispensaries. Same way in Murang'a town, the main hospital, we have a new building that, God willing, in the next few months or days, we should be opening a new block. We come to Maragua, we have expanded Maragua. Kegumo, we found a new building built by the national government. We equipped it and opened it. Okay. The same with Kegumo, whole constituency didn't have inpatient wards. People are going to private hospitals. We established 2 wards. 2 others are ongoing construction. Same way with Gatanga. And therefore, we think that it has been a positive trajectory of expanding our physical facilities, but also employing more doctors, more nurses. We have a telemedicine hub at a place called Moriranjas in Kahuro, and therefore we think that those investments will definitely increase life expectancy of Murang'a people. But as I had stated earlier, for me, the most important invention in the healthcare of Murang'a is telemedicine.
Tell us about telemedicine. So, I mean, it's a new concept for us here. So maybe you need to explain, like, how does telemedicine work and what are the benefits of using telemedicine in our circumstances?
Now, there are people with chronic ailments in this country and even in Murang'a. We are talking of arthritis, cancer, diabetes, hypertension, such. Those diseases mainly impact the elderly more. So, when people get those diseases, they require refills, may often at monthly or bi-monthly.
The refill of medication, because they have to take medication throughout their life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, where do they get that medicine from? They usually go to see a specialist doctor who is in Murang'a town at Murang'a Level 5 Hospital. Imagine you are in Tudu. Tudu is a village near the Babadeas. It is the farthest part of Murang'a as you go to Abadeas. From Tudu to reach Murang'a and go back, we will most likely use 1,000. 1,000
in fare only?
Yes, definitely. Or a place called Kairetu.
Kairetu, as
yeah,
in a girl.
It's a village, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Kairetu
is a girl.
Yeah. Kairetu is a village
in Kegumo.
In Kegumo.
Okay.
Near Abadeas.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah.
I should come and visit. I see this beautiful girl.
Kiarutara. Kiarutara is also near. The Abadeas on the Gatanga side. Or you go to Kitune. Kitune is, as you can hear, that's a company.
Wow.
Of a village near Murang'a Machakos border, now on the lower
on the side of Kilimambogo, or where?
Those regions.
Yeah.
You see, on your way to Nyeri, you see a place called Kambiti.
Yes.
Now those regions.
Wow.
So a person from Kitune or another village called Glelia. Glelia is right next to Machakos. So Machakos County.
They are very far. From town where the level 4 is.
Yes.
Where they should be accessing their medication. And it's costly.
Yes.
I also know, because I'm actually now drawing a parallel with banking services, that for this person to go to Murang'a, they also have to leave their farm, or they have to close their business for the day, because it will take the whole day maybe. So there's also the opportunity cost of earning an income that day. So that's what you are telling us.
Yes.
Yeah. So what have you done about that?
Put internet
Uh-huh.
in all medical facilities.
Wow.
Then we have a software program called Afya.ke,
Afya.ke.
which is a health information management system, which has a video call functionality. So you go to your nearest facility that is a telemedicine center, you see a nurse who will then open the video call and connect you to a doctor who is way
In Muranga.
in Muranga. And then you will be measured, instructions will be given to the nurse by the doctor, and then you get your medication. You go home. You don't have to travel to Muranga.
And what's the essence of you talking to the doctor online?
To consult.
Find out how you are you having any challenges?
Yes, yes.
So it's just like a face-to-face
Yes, it's not different.
visit,
Yeah.
but without the logistical costs and time costs.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So how many of your people of Muranga are on this program, the telemedicine?
20,000.
20,000 so far,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
sure it's growing very fast.
Yes, yes. Of
It's
course,
very convenient.
that cohort is also a known number. Our statistics suggest that cohort of people with such ailments, they are 30,000.
30,000.
So we have missed about
10,000.
Yeah.
So your net is targeting another 10,000.
Yes.
come on
Then we saturate.
Then you say, I think
say-
we've got everybody
Yeah.
on board.
Of course, there may be several factors causing the 10 not to come.
10,000.
One, maybe there's a possibility is an error on our statistics. There's also a possibilities. We charge them a little, 100 for that service.
Per visit.
Yes. So maybe some people have been torpedoed by that. But we're also trying also to do integration with SHA. So that those centers become claiming facilities.
So they are able to pay back that,
for that service.
that service.
Yes.
So for now, there's no provision for the SHA to take care of that cost, the 100.
Yes, and also the medicine,
And the
particularly
medication.
medicine, because
Okay.
it's quite expensive.
Yeah, it must be.
You have to do it in a manner that it's become
you manage the,
you manage
the
cost.
affordability aspect of it.
Yeah. Yes, we had the original concept was started as a pilot. We had 2 private organizations that came on board to pilot that idea. One was from Sweden. The other one was a doctor from Sweden. The other one was an idea being tested also by a doctor from the UK. We did a pilot of 6 months.
Okay.
Then once they were done, they made a financial proposition how we could partner with them.
Okay.
But we were unable to agree, so they left everything on us. So it is the county pushing that agenda forward.
So you are doing it directly now. The
Yes,
implementation is on you directly.
This is the county. now.
Okay. Oh, that's amazing. Now, let me ask you something. Because we always look at the level of literacy in our communities, do you feel like, for instance, the literacy levels, especially for the more elderly people who may not have gone to school to the same level we have, could that be a limitation also in accessing a service like that one? Because now you have to go onto the digital platform, or how does that work out?
No, I'm surprised. People seem to know how to
use
navigate those systems. When we started with automation of markets, the barter trade, you know, the trades, that issue was being raised that these are very informal, unstructured market and unstructured revenue streams. How would you handle a woman coming with 2 mandizis, wanting to pay 20 bob. Yeah.
Yet you need 100.
So, not yet, if there's that transaction cost. So we had to do a lot of gymnastic to even negotiate with Safaricom, not to overcharge us.
To manage the cost of the service.
Cost of the service.
Okay.
Yes.
It's on the Safaricom platform.
Yes.
Okay, that's amazing. I mean, it's is that the first in a county? Is it working anywhere else? I've not heard of that in a county government. Now, I've noticed that despite the very good performance in the latest survey, there was a decline from the previous rating. I think you had 70% in Muranga. So that probably tells me that there could be some challenges that you're still dealing with as the CEO of the county. Would you want to brief us on what keeps you awake as the governor of Muranga right now?
Several. One is the requisitions from the national government. National government exchequer release, they constitute about 85% of our total budget. So if there's delay, it means I will not be able to pay my employees. That's an issue. 2, at times we have some tussles with the control budget who must approve our requisitions. So that brings an issue. Currently, we have a program called Inua Masomo where we pay for our day scholars if you do well in day school, and also some poor orphans that we educate in our boarding schools called Nyota Yetu. That requisition has not been approved. So we are struggling in that level, and we hope it's something that will be sorted. Thirdly, Muranga being highly automated, we expose ourselves to the risks associated with automation. That includes cyber security. There was a time 2 of our systems were under attack, and in fact the investigations are still ongoing on. We are even in talks with the German authorities where our systems have been domiciled. So, and also downtimes that are always there in systems. The most painful one is the one for hospital, because Muranga people don't have physical card.
Yes.
And when you have a downtime in the hospital, you're practically meaning you can't treat patients. So I think those are the main challenges that we experience, but we have to continue fighting. Yeah.
Okay, there has been a lot of talk about corruption and mismanagement of resources, especially at the county government level. So would you say that that's an issue for you?
Everywhere that's an issue, and definitely we have to think how to solve those issues. But we thank God that with automation, that has tended to decrease to a certain extent, but definitely not eliminated 100%.
100%. You still have incidences and here and there. Okay. But I'm sure as the governor, you are taking steps to
yes,
to
definitely.
deal with that.
We at times have to take disciplinary action against some of our colleagues, though it's a very unfortunate situation. We wouldn't prefer to take disciplinary action against any of our colleagues. Yes.
Okay. Now let's come to the more exciting one. And I have seen somewhere that you are planning an investment conference for Murang'a County in June. So tell us about what is the investment conference all about, what are the objectives of the conference, and who is supposed to benefit from that conference. Just take us through the details.
The idea of an investment conference is based on the idea that what drives society forward is private capital, not public investments per se. Take an example of Nairobi CBD. Out of 100% buildings that are there, how many are owned by government? Give or take 5%.
Very few.
So that then means 95% of all those good buildings you see there, they were done through
Private investment.
private investment. Once you have that understanding that the society moves forward through private capital, then you now start understanding the rationale of a conference. That all those people who came here in Nairobi and built all these buildings, they needed to be mobilized. They needed to understand, have some value proposition. And that is what a conference does. And based on that logic, we therefore decided to hold the first inaugural investment conference on 13th and 14th of June 2025 at Thika Greens, starting at about 8-9 a.m. And what are we selling? Basically, we are selling, or rather intending to lease out land. We have 7 pieces of land that we think investors can consider. 1,300 acres that were ceded back to the county by Monte, strategically placed near Thika town. 500 has been taken up as an EPZA. 800 we want to register them as a special economic zone, which then means there will be some tax benefits under national laws. 2, Gekono landfill, the only landfill in this country, and even in this region. We want to have strategic investor to come and manage it. Number 3, we have a milk factory. Number 4, we have Marira Farm, 93 acres. Number 5, County Industrial and Aggregation Park Cape, near Kabati, about 29 acres. We also have several pieces of land across the county. We are leveraging for small industries. And those are the opportunities that we will basically be leveraging when people come. If you want to know more information, you just go to www.muranga.go.ke. You click on that website, you will see all those opportunities. If you want to come in as a delegate, you pay 10,000 through that platform. As a VIP, 30,000. As a sponsor, we have several categories, starting with title sponsor of 25 million up to bronze sponsor of 1 million. So God willing, the most important prize is that of that land at Del Monte. We want to make it an industrial town, and any investor out there interested in having an industrial town, that is the place to be.
So what you are saying, and what I'm understanding, is that the county government has all these resources in terms of land that it is not utilizing. And what you're saying, we want to partner with private sector or private investors to utilize that land for the benefit of the investor and also for the benefit of the people of Muranga through the revenues generated, employment created, and all that. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, no country in this world has ever developed without industries. Mm-hmm. And even the recently developed countries, they had a robust industrialization policy. Take, for instance, Vietnam is one of the newly industrialized countries, but it draws its industries from foreign investors. Like Samsung, I think employs 160,000 people in Vietnam. Look at India. It's growing per annum GDP growth, that is gross domestic product, which is a measure of how an economy is performing per annum, is about 7%. Look at Bangladesh. It has, there was a time, in fact, about 20 years ago, Bangladesh was poorer than Kenya, but currently it has a huge wealth gap with Kenya, mainly on the basis of apparel manufacturing industries. And so the same logic applies everywhere about the importance of industries, because they create jobs and also they create what we call backward linkages. Take, for instance, if you decide to agro-process, let's say avocado, you will not only create employment during the processing angle, but those people who bring avocado to you, they get a livelihood. So therefore, from where we see it, there is no way Africa, Kenya in particular, will ever go anywhere without industrialization. There is an opportunity that has been brought by the unfortunate world politics of China and US fighting over tariffs. America has put huge tariffs on Chinese goods coming to America. That then incentivizes many Chinese companies to get out of China, come to Africa, and then be able to continue selling to United States, which is the largest economy in the world. And therefore, we need to open up our space to these potential Chinese companies, which will not only come and help us, but also give technology transfer to our local entities. African contribution to the larger world global supply chain is very minimal. If I'm not wrong, it is estimated to be about 2% of the global trade. And therefore, as strategic as a country is our agenda to increase that volume. And we improve what we call GDP per capita. Yeah, that is the wealth, the total value of goods and services produced by any country. You divide that by the number of population, by the population. Kenya GDP per capita, if I'm not wrong, is about 2,400 USD, which is a lower middle income country. So if we industrialize, we can push that number to about 4,000 in a generation. If we achieve that, let's say in the next 10 years, then we will definitely be on a positive trajectory. And Muranga is positioning itself as an industrial hub where people will come and bring factories. That's the logic of it.
Wow, it makes a lot of sense. And I think you're also privileged because of your proximity to Nairobi, the capital, local markets, and of course, the infrastructure that is coming up that makes a movement of goods and services actually much faster wherever you are looking at throughout the country. Do you have any numbers for employment creation that you are targeting as a result of all these initiatives, if they come to pass? Like, how many jobs does the county think can be created realistically?
1 acre of land, when you give it to a factory, it can create about, let's say, 100 jobs.
Wow.
Yeah, we are talking of, let's start with the white collar jobs. You need an accountant, a lawyer, an IT, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then you need supervisors, a manager. Below that now we have what we call the floor.
The floor workers.
Or the floor work.
And the casual laborers.
Yeah, the people who now do the actual. So when you have about 1 acre, you can give or take about 50 jobs. So multiply that with, let's say, the Monte land, 1,300 acres. Okay, there'll be some which will be public facilities. So exclude that and you say you have a net industrial area of about, let's say, 1,000. So 1,000 times 100.
100.
That comes to, it is 100,000.
100,000.
Yes.
Which is
so
good.
Potentially, you can create
And that's just one of the projects.
One of the projects that can create 100,000. And you don't need to go far than to go to Kitengela.
Yes.
Isn't it? You have the EPZ.
The EPZ zone, yeah.
You look at how that town has been built and supported by. And those are direct jobs, 100,000. What about indirect jobs? These people need a place to sleep. They'll need food. They'll need banks. Yeah? So what does that tell you? They might create one direct job. Creates how many indirect jobs? Let's say 4. 4 to 5. Yeah.
4 to 5.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Because you need the boda, transport, all that. So 100,000 jobs times 5, that will be
500 at the basic minimum.
At the basic minimum.
Per facility.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, for you to do the EPZ and the special economic zone, I'm aware you have to have some licenses or approvals, at least from the main central government. So how is that going?
We are working closely with the Ministry of Trade to give us the requisite documentation, particularly to gazette the 800 piece to become an special economic zone. The 500 is already gazetted as
the EPZ.
The construction is ongoing. I think, God willing, by, let's say, September, the sheds should be ready.
Oh.
But there's a lot of work that needs to be done. You need water, roads, internet. That is something we have to think a little bit deeper, how that will be achieved. Yes.
So what's the plan about the infrastructure, for instance, the roads? So are you using the same concept and saying it's not for the government to develop the infrastructure? So what's your thinking?
Two-pronged approach.
You're also outsourcing that?
Two-pronged approach. We push the national government to put that infrastructure. But also, if we can get a private entity that can put its money, the better.
You do what? Toll roads or what? Toll infrastructure.
Yeah, you toll.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, you toll. You enter into a joint venture. Then you be tolling anyone, let's say, putting water or something. Yeah. Okay.
What you're saying is that you want to change the face of Muranga completely. Because for me, knowing Muranga as it is now, if those projects, the way you have explained them, go through, it will give Muranga a completely new face. That's the way I'm seeing it.
Definitely. Definitely.
Oh, that's
In
amazing.
short, we'll be moving Thika from Thika to Muranga.
So who are you modeling yourself with?
In terms of?
In terms of that whole setup, who do you want to look like when you grow up, when it's all done? Do you have any place you have modeled yourself against who have done that extremely well?
Yes, there are many leaders whom I get inspiration from. Let me start with where? Let me start with China. Deng Xiaoping. He is the leader who transformed China from a poor country to a rich country in a generation. I think he became the preeminent Chinese leader in 1978. And by 1990, the country was on a positive trajectory. And now you can see China is a superpower. You look at Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore. I'm sure you've read his book called From Third World to a First World.
Yes.
Yeah. Then that leader is Clement Attlee. He was a prime minister of post-war British. Some of his ideas, they remain up to date, particularly the National Hospital, National Health Service. In America, FDR, Roosevelt, between 1933 to 1945. Here in this region, maybe Kibaki, and there was a Pan-Africanist who used to be a politician in America called Marcus Garvey, that who I like his ideas about African and the need to put the best foot forward to uplift our people. I think those people, they drew, because particularly Deng Xiaoping, his ideas on how to moving a country from a command economy to a free market and unleashing those productive forces, that was a lot of wisdom.
So you've drawn a lot of inspiration from him
From
also.
him in particular.
And he's thinking about
Development.
Yes.
I say, now look, I'm at home, I have nothing to do. Let me try to become a counselor.
That was your campaign video.
Yeah. So
A towing truck.
My parents never used to show any reaction to the camp. All those political positions I've held, no day did any of them tell me, hey, congratulations, hey, yeah, nothing. Us, we don't celebrate anything.